Have you ever watched someone get talked over in a conversation? They start to say something, another person interrupts, and the first person just stops. They don't fight for the floor. They don't raise their voice. They simply let their sentence trail off into nothing, fold their hands, and disappear back into the background. If you ask them if they're okay, they'll smile and say, "Of course." But there is a silent machinery working behind that smile, because that person hasn't just decided to be quiet for the evening. They have been practicing the art of disappearing for their entire life. What you are looking at is not shyness. It is not introversion. It is the psychological aftermath of an ignored child. And if you've ever felt like your default state in life is to be invisible, if you apologize for simply existing, or feel like you have to shrink to fit into the lives of others, I need you to listen very closely to what we're about to talk about. Because you are not broken. You are just carrying a very quiet, very heavy ghost. When we think of childhood trauma, our minds immediately go to the loud things: shouting, slamming doors, abuse. But psychologists know that some of the deepest developmental wounds are entirely silent. It's what experts call an internalized neglect schema. Imagine a child raising their hand in the dark over and over again, waiting for someone to turn on the light. Eventually, their arm gets tired. Eventually, they learn that the dark is just where they live. In developmental psychology, we know that children require a triad of emotional nourishment: safety, stimulation, and connection. When a child bids for connection, "Look at my drawing," or "Watch me jump," and is met with a blank stare, a distracted nod, or total silence, their brain registers a profound threat. Neuroscience tells us that repeated emotional dismissal triggers cortisol. To a child, being unseen equates to being unprotected. Over years, this doesn't just make a child sad, it rewires their nervous system. They internalize a devastating biological rule: my needs are a burden. To survive, I must need nothing. Fast forward 20 years. The ignored child has grown up. They look completely normal, but they navigate the world wearing one of 3 distinct masks to protect themselves from the pain of being unseen again. Mask number 1, the hyper-independent. This is the adult who proudly says, "I don't need anybody." They achieve, they hustle, and they build fortresses around themselves. But it's not true independence. It's a preemptive strike. They reject the world before the world can ignore them. Mask number 2, the chameleon. This is the ultimate people pleaser. They learned early on that the only way to get a scrap of attention was to be useful, so they become whatever you need them to be: the perfect partner, the ultimate therapist friend. They bend over backward to earn a love that should have been free. And finally, mask number 3, the ghost. This is the person who has simply given up on being acknowledged. They struggle with intense imposter syndrome, chronic loneliness, and a haunting apathy. When they achieve something great, they downplay it, waiting for the world to pass them by. Because passing them by is what the world has always done. But here is the most fascinating, heartbreaking paradox about the ignored child. If this is you, you probably possess an emotional superpower that you don't even realize you have. You are likely one of the most empathetic, observant people in any room you walk into. Because you were starved of clear emotional mirroring as a child, your brain adapted to become a radar. You learned to read micro expressions. You know when the energy in a room shifts. You can tell your friend is upset before they even realize it themselves. You became an expert at reading the weather of other people's moods because once upon a time your survival depended on it. You are a master at seeing everyone else. But the tragedy is, you forgot how to see yourself. You spend so much energy tuning into the frequencies of others that your own internal radio is just static. It is crucial to understand that the parents who created this dynamic were rarely movie villains. Many were battling their own invisible wars: poverty, depression, unhealed generational trauma, or the modern epidemic of being perpetually distracted by screens. But recognizing why the room was dark doesn't change the fact that you had to sit in it. So how do you turn the light on? How does the invisible adult become visible? It starts with neuroplasticity. The beautiful truth of the human brain is that it is not carved in stone. It is made of clay. You can rewire the circuitry of neglect, but it requires you to do the one thing that terrifies you the most. You have to risk taking up space. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in the tiny, terrifying moments of friction. It's telling a friend, "Actually, I want to pick the restaurant tonight." It's stopping yourself from saying, "I'm sorry," when you haven't done anything wrong. It's looking at your partner and saying, "I am hurt right now, and I need you to hold my hand." Every time you express a need and the sky doesn't fall, your brain rewrites a line of code. Every time you refuse to shrink, you are reaching back in time and holding the hand of that child who thought they weren't worth looking at. You were never invisible. You were just surrounded by people who hadn't learned how to open their eyes. Your thoughts have weight. Your presence has gravity. Your voice is a sound this world needs to hear. It is time to stop practicing how to disappear and start learning how to arrive.